Light it up like. Light it up like. Light it up, light it up, light it up like. Light it up like. Light it up, light it up, light it up like. Got the fire in the flames, burn it up the street.
Hey Facebook, start video.
Now it's my time and I'm making it.
Hey, can I take a photo?
Sure.
One thing that really stands out for me, and one thing that I want us to really pay attention to today, is the release of the new iOS. That's the iOS 15. I mean, I updated my phone, I think on Tuesday last week. Yeah, I think I had the iOS 14.8, and I was really looking forward. I thought it was the iOS 15, but it's going to come out on the 20th of September when the sales for the new iPhone 13 lineup actually go up. But today I'm not doing this alone. I have two of the finest tech guys in Ghana with me. Today it's like you guys are twinning with your names. Have you paid attention? So there is Delpy and there is Desi. So just chook yourselves. Who is who? So I'll start from you.
I'm Desi.
Yeah.
I'm a tech reviewer.
Tech reviewer, okay.
Content creator.
Yeah. So how long have you been in the business?
I've been for like 4 years now.
How has it been for you? Like
so far, so good. Like
reviewing, working with brands.
Yes.
Do you get the gadgets yourself, or sometimes you get brands that actually bring in their stuff to you?
Sometimes I get the gadgets myself.
Okay.
Sometimes they give it to me.
Isn't it hectic, like going for the?
Well, yes, it's quite hectic. But
that support
yes.
is not really there. The OP has been here a couple of times. He's a co-show owner and a co-host. I just want us to take it first from the iOS 15. I've seen a couple of features, and one thing, it seems small, but one thing that I really like is the fact that you can actually, when you're setting your alarm, instead of scrolling and looking for the time, it used to be one of the most annoying things for me on experiencing iOS, but now you can actually just type in. And I think Android has been leading with this
long time.
Since you know, he's an Android fanboy, so he knows what I'm talking about. So what are some of the standout features for you when it comes to the iOS 15?
For me, it's SharePlay.
Okay.
It's a feature that allows you to watch videos with your friends when you're on FaceTime calls.
FaceTime, yeah.
And so it's something that
I feel like it's an extremely brilliant innovation, because even in Netflix, Apple Music, you can just share your audio and everything. Are you able to share screen as well?
Yes, the whole screen.
The whole screen for them to actually see on FaceTime.
If you want to show someone something, how to do something on the phone, you can just show it to them and they see how it's done.
So there'll be Android. Now you have FaceTime. Are you excited about it?
Yeah, I mean, amongst all the features we have on the iOS 15, updates now be rolling out on the 20th of September. I believe that is my only preferred feature. Yeah. To be able to have the accessibility for FaceTime, on Android, not only on Android, but even on your Windows PC as well. So
but don't you think Apple might over time lose their exclusivity, because there was the iMessage FaceTime thing that's sort of makes them stand out, you know, because you have your Google Hangout, you have Signal, you have WhatsApp, you have everything everywhere. But then FaceTime, iMessage was exclusive to Apple iOS.
I don't really think so, but I think instead they are trying to capture the Android guys to the
okay,
because they are giving you a taste of how it looks like to be on iOS. So instead of trying to drag you, trying to drag them into the trying to drag them into the Android ecosystem.
Yeah.
They are trying to pull you out of the Android ecosystem to experience how it feels like. That's why they're just giving you a touch of how.
Do you think there's going to be more of it? Like maybe they might bring iMessage later.
I don't know about Apple, but I think so. I don't think it's a thing that might happen because that's one thing that makes iOS.
The iMessage itself.
iMessaging is what makes iOS iMessage and iOS. Because other than that, Apple is just Apple.
You know he says this a lot every time. Do you agree with him?
No. I don't.
You don't agree with him.
Something like the FaceTime feature.
Yeah.
It's not exclusive to Android users. Mm-hmm. They can't create a call.
Yeah.
So they need an iPhone to create a call.
Yeah.
So an iPhone user has to create a call for them to join.
Is it like a Zoom link inviting you to come in? Yeah.
So I don't think iMessage will actually come to Android.
They're still on the bench.
I don't think they actually bring it to Android.
But they're using it to brag already because I've seen a few tweets here and there. I've actually seen people already trying to experiment and experience it. So now let's go into our main discussion for today. That's for the iPhone 13 lineup. As usual, they have I actually thought they were going to phase out the mini version because when I was following them before the announcement, they didn't really make good sales with the mini. So I thought they were going to phase it out. But they have the mini, they have the iPhone 13 itself, they have the Pro, and then they have the Pro Max. What do you think of the? I think the mini. I don't personally. I don't see the use for the mini because it's like a calculator sort of thing. You know, it's too small, the size and everything. I like big screens, you know, because of the whole Netflix and then enjoying YouTube stuff on your screens. But what do you think about this new lineup as compared to the iPhone 12?
I don't think much has changed, but I believe the changes mean something.
Yeah.
So something like the cameras.
Yeah.
We get an improved camera.
Yeah.
To get a camera that has 3 lenses that supports night mode is something that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I believe that if people purchase this device, they'll actually be happy with it.
Yeah.
You get, what do you call it, 120 Hz refresh rate. Yeah.
It was something I was waiting for actually.
For a long time.
Yeah.
So I think they're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
But on a slower pace. So
is it deliberate for them? Because even the 120 Hz, I know it affects your battery life to some extent. So eventually you would have to go back to 60 if you want to preserve your battery, unless you just want to charge your phone every 2 hours or something. And do you think they are gradually getting pressured by the market? Because it's like Samsung came out with the S20, S21, and they have 120 Hz. It's like, oh, Apple, you are late. Yes. You have to. Do you think the market is kind of, the consumers are now deciding what the manufacturers put in their device?
Yes, I feel Apple didn't used to be pressured.
Yeah.
They were in a league on their own.
Yeah.
Apple never used to do ads. For the first time in my life, I saw Apple doing ads on Twitter.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? That means they're listening to what people are saying. Yes, they're listening to what people are saying and they're applying it. They're scared that they might lose their exclusivity.
Yeah. So, Doc, what do you think about the new lineup of the iPhone 13 series?
So you made mention of the mini not being something you think was really necessary.
Yeah.
But then I think there are people who prefer smaller phones.
Okay.
There's quite a handful or more than a handful of people who would want to have a small phone with, you know, that good experience. Because, I mean, apart from the fact that it has a smaller size, you're still going to get the same experience you get on the iOS, on the iPhone 13.
Yeah.
But then my main problem here is, you know, we've had 120 Hz display for years now.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been so long.
Yeah.
We've had bezel-less displays. But unfortunately, they are now trying to turn it down to just reducing the size of the notch and all that. I mean,
I think they don't want to lose it because they feel like the notch is
their trademark.
Yeah, sort of like when you see the new iPhones, you know, as you can distinguish that from the 8, 6, 7. But
I mean, if there's an iPhone, the main distinction is either the camera design or the notch. So of course, that could probably be something of a trademark for them.
Yeah.
But come on, Apple. I mean.
They've reduced it. No, one thing that I really also like is the fact that they've scrapped the 64 GB we were struggling. Because your system takes 16 GB of that 64 GB. And then your apps, your Snapchats, and the moment you download the app, after a week, your 500 megabytes, you're going to 1 GB. And Apple Music streaming takes a lot of data. If you pay attention to the new audio qualities that they've brought, that's the lossless, and if you want Dolby Atmos, Dolby Atmos it's huge. And your mobile data as well. So the 64 GB was probably becoming a problem. Do you think that's what made them make that informed decision? Like, you know what, our files are getting huge. they are getting bigger and bigger. So let's just phase out the 64 GB and just start from 128 for the iPhone 13 mini and 13. And then the Pro and the Pro Max, now you even have as much as 1 TB. What do you think this is really moving to? Because I think Samsung has that you can, with expandable memory up to 1 TB, right?
I think there's even a Samsung device with 1 terabyte.
Yeah. So, as you said, Apple is catching up, but slowly. Do you think this is going to work for them? Like,
yeah, it will work because 64 gig. I don't think we're actually buying it that much.
Yeah.
If you're someone who takes pictures, takes videos,
so they just start from the 128.
Simple. That's a better way than going back to 64. So, yeah.
It seems like it's not a problem for the Android users because because the least memory you could sometimes 512, even internal memory, you have 512 and like you have all your movies and stuff. Definitely. Now that we are watching movies on our phones and everything. So for an Android user, I know you are full of banter today, so just let's have it. Let's have the banter that you have for Apple users today. I'm sure they're out there watching you.
Sorry. Of course, 1 terabyte has been a thing on Android for some time. My main problem here is with fast charging, 1. Yeah. The screen real estate, 2. And then the fact that the design is something that is still retro. I mean, it's something that, I'm not the one manufacturing the devices though, but I mean, come on. You have to do something the market wants. And of course, my friend here says Apple doesn't need to be pressured to follow the trends. Because, I mean, Apple is Apple. They can just do anything, slap an Apple logo on it, and then they can go out there and then start selling it, and people will buy. Of course, it's a thing. But come on, they should at least try and listen to their consumers a bit. The fact is that consumers are not even complaining about anything in general. I mean, all they care about is there's a new Apple iPhone in town, and they are capable of using it for their normal iMessage, their normal FaceTime calls, and all these exclusive things they have on the Apple device, and they're good to go. So
making more informed decisions with what he just said. I think Apple sells more like a lifestyle to you than the device itself. People just feel valued or they feel respected when they move into a meeting with a new iPhone 13, just put it on the desk. That's like a statement phone for you. I think that's what drives some people to go and buy the new iPhone, do everything they can. Do you think Apple sells more? That's what I believe in, that Apple sells more of a lifestyle to you than, because an Android user can customize their phones, whatever they want. If you paid attention, they didn't even mention the widgets, but they made noise about it when they first came with the iOS 14, Do you think Apple sells more of a lifestyle? I believe you're an Apple user and you actually love Apple, but for you, what drives you to go and buy the new? Is it the tech, as a tech person? Is it the lifestyle? Is it the phones? Is it the design, the camera? Or what actually drives your purchase intent for every new Apple product?
For me, it's the experience.
Okay.
For apps run better on iOS devices than they ever run on Android. Because developers build one app for the iOS devices than they have to build about 100 for the Android. So that's something that I usually go into. The cameras too are actually the best, in my opinion, because the videos you shoot are very clear.
We actually need to sit and discuss this camera issue because
the cameras are actually the best.
Yes, but I've used both. I have a Note 20 Ultra and I have this 11 Pro Max. Okay, when I use, what I love about the Android camera is the Samsung camera. Actually, let me be specific. Is the fact that it gives you that Pro settings where you can adjust your focus, your ISO, everything. And I've actually known people who are using Samsung to do like professional photography now. And people are using their iPhones, travel bloggers, food bloggers. When I sit down and actually pay the attention, it's extremely debatable to see that iPhone cameras are like the best. I feel like people haven't really sat down to explore their Samsung cameras properly. Yes.
But that's the point. Apple does not need to show you that do this setting, do that setting.
Yeah.
Point and shoot. It's good.
Yeah. For
Android,
it's easier for you, more convenient.
And that's what most people use. Yeah. No one actually wants to sit down and edit and change settings. So I think that's something that people usually look into.
Yeah. Speaking of the camera, one thing that stands out for me is the whole cinematic thing. I don't know if you've seen it, but you don't have to adjust your focus, and you just point, as you say, point and shoot. You just being able to shoot in ProRes is a huge leap. Yeah. It's a very, very huge leap. Let me come to the Android one. Do you think this is where Apple is going to try and win people over? Like the fact that filmmakers can now just pick their iPhones and just go on set and shoot, because Samsung came up with their 8K
I think it was a balance. I mean, I think it was a thing to try and outwit Android, which is Samsung specifically with the 8K thing. Yeah. So of course, ProRes is a good thing to have on a smartphone now. You don't basically need a DSLR to shoot high definition videos now. If you have ProRes on your smartphone, you can just set it up with your gear and you're good to go in shooting very clear and crisp videos. So I mean, I'm not hating on the cameras on an iOS device. I love them so much, but then they can do better. Again.
Do you agree? Do you agree with?
I don't agree.
You don't agree. Yeah. So I just really want to, like, as an Apple person, right? I just really want to know where you think this is going, and we all know where they started from. Even when they changed the whole camera setup with the 11 to the 12 to the 13. I personally didn't buy the 12 because I had a Pro Max, 11 Pro Max, and when I actually compared, I wasn't wowed enough to go for the 12. I decided, okay, let me just wait for the 13. And now if you take the 12, I actually went on their website and I was comparing the 12 with the 13 with the Pro Max and the Pro Max side by side. And some of the specs, the only thing you see is new 4D core, new, which means it's basically the same. Do you think this is something that people are beginning to pay attention to? Because I saw a couple of tweets like the only thing you see is the grammar in describing the thing, but do you think it's enough to support, like, for example, the ProRes, being able to film in ProRes? I feel like this particular device was made more for content creators, for people who film on a daily, because of the whole storage increase and everything. So for you, what will inform you to go and get this particular iPhone 13?
For the storage.
The storage for you.
Storage, up to 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
It's something that I shoot videos on a daily basis.
Okay.
So my phone gets full up quickly.
Quickly, yeah.
So that's something I'll actually go for.
The Android man wouldn't agree because
He wouldn't agree, yes. Of course.
I mean, I wouldn't go in for an iPhone unless someone is buying it for me.
Yeah.
But if
I think Desi is going to let you have the experience because he wants it.
But then if I should go in for the iPhone 13, then one, it will be because I want to try out that cinematic mode specifically, and the fact that I could have a lot more to learn for an iOS device with these new things that are claiming to be new when it's not new, like adaptive refresh rate. And they're saying from 0 to 120 hertz. And it's adaptive. It's actually adaptive. You don't have to toggle it in a setting. So it depends on what you're doing. That is when it happens. I mean, we have Android phones doing that already, but I would really like to look at how it looks like on an iOS device. And also, one other thing is the fact that I can actually have an iPhone.
Yeah. Would you recommend the new iPhone or an iPhone for someone who is a gamer?
Yes.
Would you recommend for them? Is it because of the new 120 Hz?
Not even because of that.
Okay.
My experience playing games on it is smoother.
Okay.
It's much more smoother than playing on Android devices.
So let's take a game like PUBG.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you recommend that for a person who is into iPhones?
Yes.
Yeah.
I recommend that one to the person.
Is it because of how it moves? Because gaming on an Android like the Note 20 Ultra is incredibly amazing, and that's why I want to, because I haven't really experienced gaming on my iPhone. That's why I'm asking to get it from your perspective. That would you recommend? Because it's something that it's actually really growing. People just use it to while away time when they are at work, when they are in traffic. And so as an Apple user, someone who really understands how the product works, would you recommend it for a gamer, someone who is like a top gamer, like more into mobile gaming? That's why I'm actually asking this, and maybe why you would like to recommend an iPhone to them when it comes to gaming.
Yes. So like I said before, apps that run on Android and iOS run better than Android.
Yeah.
Even the developers themselves say the same thing. If you're going to gaming and you're playing a game like Call of Duty, since it's been built better on iOS, it will run better on iOS than it run on Android. And iOS phones don't get heat up very easily when you're playing games. Heat control is controlled, so you'll be able to play well and move better, kill faster than on most Android phones.
Is there a lag? Is there a lag on your Android phone when you are playing such a like Call of Duty? Do you get a bit of a lag?
Yeah, there's heating up problems.
So, but that's some phones that run on Android.
Some phones that run on Android. Some phones that run on Android. But more specifically, I want to build up on something. I have a friend who uses an iPhone 11 Pro Max now, and he's having battery issues because of gaming. There's this battery health thing they associate with iOS devices, and once they start gaming, it tends to depreciate very fast or very quickly. So that's one problem I think they might have on iOS. And he's right. Optimization is really good on iOS devices because they build their own things from scratch. I mean, apart from the camera parts where they might go to Sony to patch it up for them, but then they build their own things from scratch. Their chipsets is their own stuff, so they do their best to make it very optimizable for other for stuff like app running and all that. So I commend them for that a lot. That is very, very, very good. That is something Android has not yet achieved. But then we are waiting for the Pixel 6 again, like I said. With the 10
we'll be right here. We'll be back here to come and discuss the Pixel 6.
With the Tensor chip to see how well it performs. Because, I mean, I'm not shaming anybody, but Samsung really disappointed us a bit with the Exynos chipset. So, of course, the A15 Bionic is exceptional. And, I mean, kudos to Apple.
But do you think Snapdragon can kind of...
Oh, of course. There's Snapdragon chipsets that outwit or overtake the Apple Bionic chipsets a bit, like the 888 Plus, but that one even had some heating up issues and stuff. So, does
that come down to the manufacturers of specific Android phones to intensify their cooling systems?
Exactly.
So because with I think the Note 10. I think that's when Samsung started stepping up on their cooling systems inside. It's something I actually tried, and I realized that it had been improved. The heating on the S9, S10 wasn't the same on the S20, and then the Note from Note 10 up also. I think it's something that the other Infinix and the Huawei's. I would actually love to use a Xiaomi sometime because I've been hearing a lot of hype about it.
You should try it.
It's something I would like to try because apparently it's a very great device, but. Still on I want us to touch a bit on the whole ecosystem with your Apple Watch, with your AirPods. Now they have the AirTag, Samsung have their Smart Tag. I feel like other Android manufacturers are not really moving at a fast pace to catch up with this ecosystem because, as you said, you will go for it for the experience. For me, I would also go for it for the experience because it's nice when you take hand off. For example, you are browsing on your iPhone, you drop it, you just come to your Mac, you can pick off where you were. But other Android manufacturers haven't really caught up to this yet. Do you see the